Hi, I'm Aaron Barnes, and this is The Bigger Picture. This month, we're highlighting a man known as the grand visionary of aviation, William J. Powell. Now, this Bill Powell shouldn't be confused with another pioneer of the same name, who opened the first public golf course owned, operated, designed, and built by an African American. This month's Bill Powell is a visionary because he's had the idea that flying, unlike trains, had not been segregated, and Jim Crow's clutches hadn't yet gripped around aviation. And it's safe to say that he was familiar with segregation. I mean, he was born in Kentucky, raised in Chicago, and then was admitted into the College of Engineering at the University of Illinois, all before he was 17. And each one of these three locations is very familiar with segregation. And to make matters worse, before he was even able to complete his degree, he was drafted into a segregated infantry to serve as a lieutenant in the First World War. Now, it was at this First World War in Europe where Bill Powell fell in love with aviation and the idea of becoming a pilot, because it was there where he saw that aviation had the potential to be a raceless frontier, where the color of your skin didn't matter when you're in the skies. So when he returned from Europe, he finished his engineering degree at the University of Illinois and immediately began applying to flight schools. Sadly, the leaders at the flight schools and the Army Air Corps back in the States didn't share Bill Powell's idea of the airspace as a raceless frontier. They all rejected him when he applied. And we know that that wasn't because he didn't have the aptitude. Clearly, this guy was smart. I mean, he graduated from the College of Engineering at the University of Illinois. But because of racial discrimination, Bill Powell had to travel all the way to California to finally be admitted into a flight school, become a pilot, and an aeronautical engineer. As he began gaining prominence in the LA aviation community, Bill Powell set out to enact his vision to get more black people their wings. You see, he thought that black people could rise in prominence as aviation gained popularity in the States. If this idea sounds familiar, it should. Hidden Figures showed how Dorothy Vaughan did something very similar when she convinced her coworkers to ride the wave of IBM programming into the next era of space travel and information technology. Anyway, Lieutenant Powell was just as excited to get black people involved in aviation. He began his mission by starting 2 flight clubs, the first of which was named after Bessie Coleman, the first African-American aviator. He also started a book, wrote a movie, wrote a play, all in an effort to expose African Americans to the opportunities that were available to them in aviation. Keep in mind that all of this took place before the Great Depression and during a time in America where Jim Crow was still crippling the nation and holding back people of color from advancing in various areas. In his book, Black Wings, Powell writes that because of Bessie Coleman, we have overcome that which was worse than racial barriers. We have overcome the barriers within ourselves and dared to dream. Indeed, Powell dared to dream and inspired thousands of others to do so who may not have otherwise dreamt as large as they could have. And it's in this way that he helps us see the bigger picture. Thanks for watching.